Welcome to Machine Minds, where technology and humanity meet. I'm your host, Greg Terrusian, founder of Samson Rose, a recruiting and search business focused on the robotics and AI industries. The Machine Minds show is where we dive deep into the intricate world of robotics and artificial intelligence. As a staffing industry leader with a passion for the frontiers of technology, I'm pleased to be bringing you intimate conversations with the founders, investors, and trailblazers who are at the heart of the AI and robotics revolution. In each episode, we dig into their journeys, the applications of the products they're working on, and the breakthroughs that are shaping our future. Join us as we explore how these machine minds are transforming the way we live, work, and understand our world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a tech enthusiast, or just curious about this amazing field, you'll learn something new with each episode. Let's delve into the extraordinary. Let's delve into Machine Minds. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Josh Dion, VP of Engineering at RightHand Robotics. So let's jump into it. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thanks, Greg. We're really happy to be here.
I'm glad we could get this on the calendar so quickly. I've been excited for this one. Before we jump in, for the listeners, and I guess for myself, we'll get a quick refresh here. Can we discuss RightHand Robotics, just the mission, vision, and what you do as a business?
Yeah, so RightHand Robotics provides warehouse automation solutions, and specifically in the piece picking realm. In wildly oversimplified terms, we sell a robot that picks things up and puts them down in the warehouse. But that's way easier to say than to do with technology. So when I pick up this can of soda and I put it down, there's an immense amount of processing our brains is doing. The tendons in my arm, the muscles in my arm, the joints, how many fingers I'm going to use to grasp it, how hard I'm going to grasp it, how gentle I'm going to put it down. We don't think about those things. It just happens. But RightHand Robotics has trained technology to do that. And we're in warehouses around the world successfully picking items up and putting them down. Now, if a human's doing that job, it's incredibly monotonous, provides few transferable skills, and really is actually painful because of the ergonomics involved. That's why there's about 40% turnover in warehouses for people in piece picking positions, which leads me to our mission and our vision. RHR's mission is to build intelligent machines so that humans don't have to be robots, which I think is kind of clever. And of course, our vision is to be the obvious choice for robotic piece picking for supply chains.
Love that. Yeah, very clever. So, I mean, I know your background, and I'm sure after this episode, people are going to go and check you out on LinkedIn and go and look at RightHand Robotics online. But can you share a bit about your background? Because it hasn't been quote unquote traditional robotics, or it's not like you started out in robotics from school. So can you share how you got into it and what you actually do at RightHand?
Yeah, I spent my whole career in engineering, but the first 20 years of my career was in data center appliances, primarily data storage, data protection, and virtualization. But in 2020, I decided that I wanted to try something new, and what better than robotics in Boston? It's such a hotbed, and frankly, got really lucky and blessed to have landed my role at RightHand. What's excellent about RightHand is, founders are all, this is their life's work. We've got folks with PhDs in robotics and ML and AI, and I'm surrounded by immensely talented, intelligent people. But that's awesome. I love to do that because I can focus on business development. I can focus on growing the organization, maturing our practices in the engineering group, and things like that.
That's great. That is great. Yeah, and I think I like that you've come into the industry later on in your career as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit later on. But it's just my passion and my love for it, that it doesn't have to just be, like you said, people's life work, and you can transition is something that's amazing too. So RightHand has their own approach to robotics. You've already touched on that a little bit. And as a company, you're going to end up with your own challenges as well as your own success stories. Can you share some of that with us and how you guys approach things and what that's actually led to?
Yeah, that's a great question, Greg. The competitive landscape in warehouse automation, and specifically in piece picking, is pretty interesting, actually. Most of our competition may provide one part of the solution, just the vision system, or just the robotic arm, or just the end effector for grasping. At RHR, we say we, quote, own the pick, meaning our solution's turnkey. We are the complete picking solution, including the vision system, our patented gripper, the robotic arm, all the compute, storage, electrical, pneumatic, everything that powers the system. Of course, all the software, a lot of magic happens in the software, from firmware and device drivers up through motion control and collision avoidance, kinematics, multiple machine learning models, all the way up the stack, all the way up to user interfaces and analytics dashboards. But our approach simplifies life for our customers and for our system integration partners. So, whether it's a partner or a customer, they don't need to piece together, pun intended, a picking solution from multiple subcomponent providers. And if they need support, they work with one provider, us. They don't need to go figure out which subcomponent provider to reach out to.
I think, before you jump on, I think that is an eye-opening, or at least for me, from just the outside looking in, an eye-opening fact, because people don't think about all the different components. Or if you want, hey, I just need the system to do this, you have to piece together, do a bunch of integration work, and look at like, okay, vision component. You can get a universal robotic arm, maybe, but how do you actually program it to do what you want it to do? How is it going to be for your function, the vision, your environment? And all of that is a lot to even consider before you implement it, or before you put it into real world. Exactly.
And that's just your picking device. When you think about the broader warehouse, and I'm getting into some of the broader, you asked about challenges. One of the broader challenges that RightHand has faced, and I think, all of this field faces, is that automation is required. These warehouse operators are realizing automation is required to do business. They can't keep people in the roles. And it's not just piece pickers. They need automated storage devices. They need automated forklifts. They need automated goods to picker devices, such as AMRs and AGVs, et cetera, et cetera. So they need to piece together all the solutions. And can you imagine the challenge if for just the piece picking part of that, you had to piece that together as well? It's just immensely challenging for the warehouses. What feels really great for RightHand is another major challenge specific to piece picking is it's super hard. Back to what I was talking about, picking up this soda can, immensely hard. There's millions of items in a warehouse, varying sizes, shapes, packaging, and to train technology to reliably and quickly and with the accuracy and precision of a human to do that, just immensely challenging. And the proof's in the pudding. In the last 18 months, a handful of our competitors have decided to pivot to other areas of automation, such as picking up parcel, which selects less complex and has less variability. You can imagine square boxes for parcel, more straightforward to pick up. So we feel really great about that. And every day that goes by, the tech that we're building is creating a bigger and bigger barrier of entry for any competitors to come into this space. So it all feels really great for us. So that's a couple of the challenges anyway, in terms of piece picking.
Again, when you actually sit down and think about it, because I think the use case people can probably relate to most is like, oh, I'm going to order something from Amazon and it's going to come in my box. And they probably think about the box that gets picked up and put to somewhere else. And no one thinks about, okay, well, if we're going to automate from order all the way through to delivery, for example, all the different sizes of things that you have put in that one box, all the different locations, all the different weights and textures and all of that stuff to actually come to you, that's very complicated. It's very, and we take it for granted.
We absolutely take it for granted. Even something as simple as that box that you received, how densely was it packed? Because if we call it shipping air, and shipping air is expensive. Amazon or other retailers, they don't want to send a box that's 90% empty. So the challenge of packing that densely, again, we take that for granted. As a human, I could take, if I needed to pack 5 of these cans in a box, I could find the right size box and I could very tightly pack it. But you need to train technology to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very true. So it sounds like, and this leads on very nicely to the next part of revolutionizing the industry. And you mentioned, several of your competitors in the last 18 months, they've gone off to focus on slightly different areas within it. Is there anyone else trying to do what you do? It sounds like you guys are leading the pack with and revolutionizing the pick and place or logistics side of things.
Yeah, we are.
Especially the way that you're attacking it.
We are absolutely the leaders. And there's no question about that. We have other competitors that are right there with us though. Some folks that were startups that started around the same time, and that's healthy competition. That's great. You don't want to be the only one out there, particularly on a particularly challenging task. And so they're helping validate the market for us too, as well, of course. So, again, nothing wrong with some nice, healthy competition.
No, it's great. It's great. And so in your opinion, and your perspective, the state of the robotics industry, I mean, I'm obviously on the hiring side of things and I follow different companies, different stages, different use cases, right? From logistics to all the way to drones, for example, and ag tech and food tech. What do you think the industry is doing right now? It's obviously taken off immensely, even in that 18 months where people have pivoted. But how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, Greg. Like you said, so many applications for robotics. Manufacturing, sort of a lot of people, think about the traditional robotics of the assembly line, for automotive, but healthcare, robotic surgery, is immensely cool and an exploding field. There's medical devices, there's agriculture, so many robots out there doing everything from sowing seeds to actually harvesting the end product. Of course, food service. There's robotic wait staff robots out there, which is super neat. Autonomous vehicles, construction, military and space, and then of course, my personal favorite. Not that I'm biased, but supply chain logistics, right? And while I could keep listing, probably the possibilities are endless and the opportunities massive. And if I think we would not be doing ourselves any favor if we didn't mention AI, because I think I know AI is going to take us to places that we can only imagine. The right-hand product, I mentioned before, we have multiple machine learning models in our product. We're heavily leveraging AI. But even still, I think the opportunity, we probably can't even sit here and dream of what it's going to look like in 10 years because the technology is going to grow so fast.
I mean, you look at the last 1 year, 18 months of just AI. No one was talking about, I mean, people in the industry obviously talking about it, very much aware, but with ChatGPT doing what it's done in the press, and there were already paid applications out there, your Jaspers and stuff like that for creating content or whatever, but anything, it seems like, attached to Elon's name gets a 10x explosion in terms of coverage. And then you're having these conversations with your parents now when before they had no idea what AI was. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, the buzz is just immense, and it only benefits us, right? Because we've been talking about ML and AI on our product and how we learn with every pick. We've been talking about that for years. But of course, there are major challenges facing the industry as well, right? Whether it's for us, we build an industrial robot. So regulatory in terms of safety is always a challenge. There's technical limitations. I mentioned before how challenging it is to pick something up and put it down. And, generally speaking, all those areas of robotics that I mentioned, there's few of those spaces where the robots are performing at the same level or better than humans. And so that will continue to be a challenge. There's an ethical challenge. If you've heard the godfather of AI, Jeffrey Hinton, out there talking, he's going on this tour explaining his concern that what will we do when AI-powered robots are more intelligent than humans? He's not doomsday type of guy, but he's just saying we need to be approaching that head on because that will happen at some point. So lots and lots of challenges as well as tons of opportunity.
Especially how the programs and the ability and the knowledge is like compounding on a monthly basis. It seems like we're not even talking years anymore, decades. It's just like the compute power, the knowledge, these self-learning or reinforcement learning, deep learning, everything like that is just making the field excel so quickly, right? So I think the conversations that they're having now are probably too late. Well, not too late, but behind the curve. Yeah, it's like probably should have had this ahead of time. Yeah. But it just exploded in the last year. What do you think? I mean, obviously not relevant, or I don't want to say not relevant, but not like for like with what you guys are building. But in terms of humanoids, because that's something that's pretty hot right now. And this is just from more of a personal perspective of you, because I'm very interested in it. I'm very curious to see how these applications are going to go. Obviously, there's some out there doing like pick and place humanoid robots as well, but again, very limited to what they can do. What are your thoughts on that, and that in conjunction with AI?
I'm a practical guy, so I'm always thinking about, if it's going to be humanoid, is that the best format, if you will, to do the task at hand? Right. For a warehouse, I just guess my own personal opinion, I don't yet see the value in creating the complexity of a humanoid to do a job that, a non-humanoid robot could probably do better. Where's the benefit there? But that's just my personal take on it. There are probably many applications. I talked about the digital wait staff. I could imagine that people would prefer that human-like interaction, and having a robot that presented itself in a human form just gives people a little bit more ease, maybe. So there might be some use case there.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where if and when the cost comes down enough, then maybe. But you go to some of these fast food or fast casual restaurants now, and they just have like a tablet on the table to make your order. You don't even have to speak to anyone, which is crazy. So anything that simulates a human is nice. When I think it was at CES, and they had like the robot cleaning and robot table cleaning that you could put your tray on there or your food on there, which was pretty cool. So, okay. Well, that's really interesting in terms of the applications that you mentioned there. And in terms of, humanoids, I definitely agree with the format side of things, because sometimes it feels like complexity for complexity reasons and just to show off. But at the end of the day, what we've found in the industry of late, in tech in general, is route to actual revenue and route to profitability. And logistics, obviously agriculture, food tech, they all have direct impact that they can have with the staff shortages. They have bottom line impact that they can have. How does revenue, I don't know if that's something that you can talk about, but business model, because we've obviously seen a lot of like the RAS model now, and then people like actually buying and implementing the robots and stuff like that, which is a big uptake on a cost level. How does it work for you guys?
So we're flexible, and there is, each business, each customer might be more CapEx sensitive or more OpEx sensitive. So we can work with those customers, depending on what they need. One of the challenges you just highlighted, and we didn't talk about it earlier, but is that oftentimes with automation, there is an upfront cost associated, but we like to think that we can work with our customers and figure out what's right for them.
I think that flexibility is really going to be key here for the winners and the longevity as well in the industry. And then in some of these industries, it's re-teaching people a way of how to do it. We've dealt with the struggles of high turnover, as you mentioned, or lack of skilled enough people, or people coming back to work even after COVID, which has been a real struggle in a lot of like hospitality or warehouse and stuff like that. So the flexibility of cost and then just showing the value is going to really be there for the winners. Let's talk a little bit for a moment. I know we've already touched on it, but the future of robotics from your perspective, for you guys specifically, and then just in general, how do you see this shaping out in the next kind of 2 to 5 years?
Well, the vision, right, is to make sure that every time you get an item or a package on your front doorstep, that right-hand robot has picked that thing up, put it down. So that's where we're headed. Our technology evolves literally every few weeks. We're sprinting every 3 weeks, and new value and new features and capabilities coming out. So it's pretty immensely cool to watch, even in the 2.5 years that I've been at RightHand, the range of items that we can pick and how reliably we can pick them. So that's only going to increase over time. And, I'm totally confident in the technology and the capability of our team, to really expand and to really, end up being in virtually every warehouse on the planet. So that's a super exciting, opportunity. Only about 5% of warehouses in the entire world have sophisticated automation like this. And so it's just this huge, huge, huge opportunity.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that small of a percentage.
Yeah, I mean, typically, warehouses have been around decades and decades. Their idea of automation in the past has been more rudimentary automation, like conveyors and things of that nature. But this is really into an entirely new world with the sophisticated automation like piece pickers and AMRs and things like that. So very, very cool future. And circling all the way back to where our conversation started, one thing I would love to leave your listeners with is there's this common misnomer that, an engineer needs to have experience in robotics to enter this field. And, it really isn't true. If you happen to be in school, master's degree or PhD in robotics, physics, mechanics, whatever. That's great. That's awesome. You will have a home in this industry. But here at RightHand, like I mentioned, we have lots of talented roboticists, but many, I would even say most of our engineers came from other fields. We're looking for electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and Python developers and folks who have experience with ML and AI and computer vision and cloud technologies. And you don't have to have lived and breathed robotics or supply chain your whole life to have those skills. We're looking for highly motivated, intelligent, quick learners with a positive attitude, quite frankly.
I think that's a great point to end on. Thank you for that. Yeah, the transferable skills and experience that you can gain in one industry or one education area and apply here. If your interest is there, your passion's there, it could be a huge benefit to companies, but also a huge thing for your career as well. So thanks for that, Josh. Well, look, this was really amazing. I love finding out more about how you guys differentiate yourself, how you put things together in terms of technology and being a leader in the space. It's really a pleasure, and I appreciate having you on the show. Where can guests and listeners find out more about RightHand Robotics and yourself?
RightHandRobotics.com. Check us out. And if you're interested in me personally, I have my adoring fans. You can hit me up on LinkedIn.
Amazing. All right. Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Greg. This was a ton of fun, as always.